And I co-sign what you said about Coast 100%. I mean, I don't want to say like resistant. It was nothing to do with Coast, but once
Yes, you were.
okay, we'll say I was resistant, but it had nothing to do. What is true is it had nothing to do with Coast. It was just one of those things of if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I
Right.
was just going through Coinbase and using the PulseChain bridge to get over because Ethereum gas fees have been nothing
Yeah.
for a couple years now. And if you're only paying literally like $3 to bridge over, I figured why not. But now the thing, and Gwei is still low, but now the things could be getting a little bit busier. And you want to be forward thinking. We talked about this with Frank last week about if you're ever offboarding. It's one thing to put some money, I guess it always depends on the amount, but going into crypto through Coinbase is one thing, but going out of crypto, if you're going back to fiat through an exchange, I don't like the idea as much because also presumably you're coming out with more money than you came in with. And that is what's amazing about the Coast relationship with Old Glory Bank is you're going straight from crypto to fiat and putting it right in the bank, bypassing an exchange, which to me is like paramount,
Yep.
So
yeah, there's not going to be a freeze. There's not going to be a hold. There's not going to be anything, essentially you are taking your stable coins, burning them for fiat. Like it is a straight process right to your bank account. Yeah. You don't have that stop where they can just freeze it. So very, very cool. And I do agree with you. And a lot of people do the same thing. I was just giving you a hard time, because if something isn't broke, why fix it? It's working great. This is what I'm used to. I know what I'm doing. I'm not going to mistakenly click a wrong button. I've been doing this in my sleep for how many months now when I've been DCAing. So I do get it. But, people should always, always, always look for a backup option. Get comfortable with it before you have to use it, because there may be a time when something does happen and you're like, oh shit, now I got to get this out. Now I don't know what I'm doing. Where do I click? You start asking a bunch of questions. You start getting conflicting information. Get used to things before. That's why test nets are so valuable. That's why I tried to play around with the PulseChain testnet before PulseChain even went live for a lot of things, providing liquidity and doing different things in the farms. And, just get comfortable with it before it really matters. That is one thing that everybody should be doing.
I could not agree more. Yeah. And especially again, like later in the bull market, when you're wanting to potentially scale out, that's why I think Coast is so important. And just to see how you can lower your fees on there by buying the weight token and locking it up. If you buy 100K weight tokens and lock it up, last I looked, it was like $85. I don't know what it would be right now, but you pay that one time, lock up those tokens, and then your fees go down to 0.25%, which maybe like, oh, whatever. Well, they could be up to like 4% for some things on there or 1%. I mean, you're talking about quadrupling or the reverse of that, a quarter of the fees, for different things on Coast. So it is a very, very big thing. But again, paramount to me is that I won't have to pass through an exchange. That's the big thing that you want to make sure of. And like you said, just having tons of different ramps, whether it be on or off. I would have many bank accounts, or a few anyway. You don't have to have a million, but if you have 3, 4, 5 solid bank accounts, whatever it is, because you never know what happens with them either. I mean, who knows? That's why we love Old Glory, because they totally support crypto, and every day it seems like they're coming out with more news about the ways in which they support crypto. But you want to have friendly enough banks, and if they're your friend now, they may not be forever. So
for sure.
Cool. Well, good stuff from Internet Money. I think we should cut it there. I don't want to get into the kind of one other thing that we had, because I think it might be a little bit of a longer conversation. So I kind of want to bring that over to next week, or subsequent weeks. We'll have plenty of time to talk about it. But what do we have here?
Yes, Valiant Loki. There is KYC. Unfortunately, it's minimal, and there is no retention of any kind of information. It's basically used to approve you to see who you are, to make sure you are who you say you are, and then the information is tossed. So, they do not retain any records. Of course, Old Glory Bank, when you set up an account, they're gonna know who you are. You're gonna provide identification, because it is still a bank.
Right.
But as far as Coast goes with the KYC, it is very minimal. Your basic KYC, and then again, there's no retention of any of the records.
Yeah.
So just so people know that.
Yeah, and again, and that stuff's there, and it's not overly invasive. It's not any more KYC than anything that you've ever done before. And not only that, but you're not at risk of having your funds being held inexplicably. I mean, we've been seeing that happen on Coinbase. I mean,
Yep.
people are sharing that on Twitter a whole bunch. Or even maybe not inexplicably, but just the stupid rule they have for some people where it's like you can only move $1,000 at a time. Like, say you get paid, you put $2,000 on Coinbase, and it's like $1,000 of this will be held for a week, and you just can't move it. With Old Glory Bank, it's a bank. So you put the money in there, it's there. You go over to Coast, deposit that into Coast, and then mint your stable CST token, and you've got the stable coin right away. There's no waiting. So,
or
yeah.
you can go right into Hex, PulseChain. Like, you don't even have to stop at a stable coin if you don't want to.
Right.
You can send your USD right to Coast and just mint the PulseChain, PulseX, Hex. So yeah, it's super simple. Like I said, get in there, play around. Even if it's $20 worth, try it, get approved, and get to know it. That's all.
Yeah, you finally twisted my arm. I'll put my hand up right now. I am somebody. I was a convert. I was never somebody who didn't want to use it. Just like we said, it was like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But I am somebody who wasn't familiar as much with Coast. Finally got OGB all set up and everything and onboarded and stuff, and I could not be happier with it and wish I'd have done it sooner. So, and I'll be very happy, when that ETH Gwei goes through the roof, so I don't have to be bridging anymore. I mean, that's going to be awesome. So,
for sure.